Hey, Vagabond here. In this brand new video I visit the border of three interesting countries: Russia, China and North Korea. I will try to get to the southernmost point of the Russian Far East, located in the village of Khasan at the convergence of three borders. My journey to so-called triborder area begins on Sakhalin, the largest Russian island. I had been exploring the island for 2 weeks before leaving it. I flew from Yuzhno-Sakhalinsk to Vladivostok, saving at least 2 days that I would have spent on the road if I hadn't used airplane. For the next couple of days, I was hitchhiking to the border.
Спасибо, мужики.
Давай, счастливо.
Давайте.
Счастливо.
Не болейте. So it has been a stroke of luck, a serious stroke of luck, that I hitchhiked from Vladivostok airport to the place that I'm currently at. This is the junction, the main junction that I needed to cross in this little trip to get to the Korean border. I was picked up by locals from Ussurisk, pretty good, friendly guys, as most of people who picked me up.
The road towards the border went along the national park, the land of the leopard, where tigers and leopards actually lived. The locals, however, were not happy with such a neighborhood, suffering from constant attacks of wild animals.
Если он вот как-то залез в коровник в совхозе, так он там 12 голов переломал, просто переломал. Одного бычка взял, больше 400 килограмм. С ним в окно выпрыгнул, унес метров за 300 по снегу. Понимаешь, даже нигде волока не было по земле. А пользы, я скажу, от него никакой, только один вред. А леопард, он не может, конечно, там оленя, там, косулю догонит. А вот это вот молодняк весь, он все съедает. Абсолютно все.
Давай,
Путешествуй.
Да.
Before going straight to the border, I visited the village of Slavyanka to check out a lighthouse and some natural sights. On the way to the lighthouse, I accidentally found a lotus lake, which I didn't even know existed, a poster of a shipyard, and a cool alley of trees of some Far Eastern species.
Here we are at the place. This is Lighthouse Busse on Bruce Cape. And Japanese Sea. Some kind of a little peninsula in front of us and numerous islands of this area. Basically here is a military base. Right there on the horizon is Vladivostok. It's about 40 kilometers to there, but if you want to get there you need to either take a boat or go around this massive area. That's gonna be about 150 kilometers. Wonderful evening at Bruce Cape. Has kind of interesting, I don't know, structure. Coming. How could I miss the opportunity to pitch a tent in such a wonderful place with the view on Japanese Sea? Before going to sleep and pitching a tent, I decided to have some sort of dinner, kind of nutritious, looks very simple, a loaf of bread, a piece of kolbasa. I have overnighted in my tent in such a wonderful place with the panoramic view on the sea.
Ну все, давай,
Да,
удачи.
спасибо, Слав,
Счастливого
давай,
пути.
хорошего дня тебе.
Спасибо.
Вытащим, там просто воды много, я этот вопрос решил с утра решить. 4 литра, поэтому тяжеленький. Ладно?
Давай, удачки.
Да, давай, счастливо. I'm successfully moving towards the border. I have just hitchhiked from Slavyanka to some turn to a random touristic base.
Finally, we had made it to Khasan, the only settlement in Russia on the border with North Korea. At first we decided to explore the part of Khasan which was closer to the border. It was separated from the central part of the village by a railway. In front of us we could observe a classic provincial landscape, which was well complemented by the ruins of some residential buildings.
We have just entered one of the abandoned one-story residential buildings that looks more like barrack. Here are some mathematics student books in this room. So we presume that this house lost its inhabitants in 2013, according to the date that was found somewhere here. This is a student book of arts.
The streets of Khasan were completely deserted. Due to the abundance of abandoned houses, it seemed that people just disappeared.
It seems that I've entered the residential part of the building, but it's kind of questionable because this sort of payment, this sort of the bottom, is typical for some administrative constructions, but not for residential buildings. What is interesting is this probably Chinese photo album. I have no idea why it is here, or it's Chinese tourists or not. So I have found 4 apartments in another entrance hall that can potentially be inhabited according to this new lock and these new doors. Technically, it's possible that the entire building is abandoned and some of the apartments can be inhabited. The counter of electricity, it seems to be broken. These apartments can just be locked and closed, but I doubt that they're inhabited at the moment. Вот смотри, видишь вот здесь спутниковая тарелка, получается чисто снизу вот этих 2 квартир.
For some reasons, border settlement Khasan is not in the best condition comparing to Chinese border area. This tower is already on Chinese territory. Would you believe it or not, but so far we hadn't encountered a single border guard. We found an abandoned dormitory from which roof we were able to enjoy a panoramic view of Khasan, China and North Korea.
So this is Chinese observation tower. This is Russian option. It could be a tourist attraction, but not in this life.
We are looking straight to Khasan station. This is a border station of Russian railways, and here is a railway connection with North Korea. The checkpoint of customers, they observe trains that arrive and depart from and to North Korea. In front of us is Chinese observation tower, pretty popular tourist destination, and all of that mountains on the background are a part of the territory of North Korea. Looking at the neighboring countries from afar, we wanted to get closer to them. We thought it was technically possible to drive right up to the fence separating China from Russia. Our task was to find a pillar designating the place of convergence of the three borders. The actual point of intersection of the three borders was about 350 meters away, in the middle of Tumangan River, separating us from North Korea, and therefore inaccessible to us. On the way to the border, we stopped at the Lotus Lake. Chinese observation tower looked exceptionally Asian from our point of view. Being a few meters away from the border fence, we still hadn't met a single border guard, neither from Russian nor from Chinese side. Nevertheless, we found the coveted pillar and immediately began a photo session.
This is Russia, this is China, and here must be North Korea. The actual border is here behind this fence, and North Korea is somewhere behind Tumangan River. It's invisible from here, unfortunately, but yeah, that's the actual monument, so mission completed.
Of course, we could not help but check the central part of Khasan. Among 587 people living there, were primarily border guards, military soldiers, and their families. Khasan looked like the most ordinary urban-type settlement. The village was named after the Lake Khasan, which in the late 30s was the subject of territorial disputes between Russia and Japan. During the Soviet-Japanese armed conflict, Soviet soldiers managed to defend the border territories, the ones there I was walking. Logically, there was a special monument in Khasan, erected in honor of brave Soviet soldiers. On the way back from Khasan, we also explored the remains of the village of Mayachnoye, which once housed a military base. Although the history of this place dated back to the 19th century, when an ordinary Chinese village was located in this place, no one lived there nowadays. The abandoned 5-story building that was a home of military families was the only reminiscence of life in this settlement. Just a few hours later, we were casually breaking the speed limit on the highway over the Amur Bay in Vladivostok. Coincidentally, I was taken to both Khasan and Vladivostok by one person, who appeared to be my soul brother. Like me, he went exploring new places just out of curiosity.
Спасибо большое, что повозил.
Да.
Было очень приятно.
Не за что, да. Рад был познакомиться.
Да, взаимно.
Давай, чтобы тоже твоя дорога была легкой.
Да. Давай, тебе тоже хорошего вечера.
I spent the next few days in Vladivostok, exploring local hills and islands, but this is a story for another video that possibly will be published once in the future. And now, thanks for watching, see ya!